It is now my pleasure to introduce Megan Smith, founder and CEO of Shift7 and former U.S. Chief Technology Officer. From 2014 to 2017, she led the Obama White House efforts to harness power of data, innovation, and technology. An award-winning entrepreneur, engineer, and tech evangelist, Megan is a leading voice on all technology issues, and we're excited to hear from her this morning. So back to the conversation is the Hill's editor-at-large, Steve Clemens. Steve.
Yay. Hey, Megan. Thank you very much, Brittany.
Yeah, thanks for
So, guys, this is super cool. I've interviewed Megan a number of times, and I just did no research on her before. But this time I went in and I found there's a new movie out called General Magic. And do any of you know what General Magic is? See, no one knows. It's called the most important failed company in America. and you used to work there.
Yeah, I was in my early 20s.
And it is responsible for these.
Yeah, it's one of the key companies. General Magic was a company that was started by really a guy named Mark Peratt, who came from Aspen Institute and stuff, and the team that created the Macintosh was Steve Jobs. And they could see this idea of, they call it pocket crystal, this thing that you would not leave home without.
Right.
This is 1990, 1989. So we were all young ones under this extraordinary engineering and design and other teams, Susan Kerr, Joanna Hoffman, Andy Hertzfeld, Bill Atkinson, Wendell Sanders having a chip in every Apple product. So just this, this idea of, and it's actually really relevant here because this idea in the country and in the world of apprentice journey mastery and how we all learn our professions. And so definitely in the tech world, we go through that track. And so as young ones,
but you were
we were
in
in
the
this
team,
company, Tony Fidel.
I mean, this is extraordinary because you're always described as the first the third chief technology officer, but the only one who became a celebrity, really. But you were on the smartphone team before there were smartphones.
Yeah, no one knew what we were talking about.
Yeah,
That's why the company failed. Like, no one had email yet. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I was working on touchscreens and LCDs. There's a cut in the movie where people are like, where's this going to go? I'm like Dick Tracy smartwatch, and this is 1990.
So we are interested in disruption. I mean, you made this happen. So did the people that created
together. It's a team sport.
I know it's a team
and Tony
sport,
Fidel,
but still, I'm giving you credit.
iPod,
So did
Andy
people?
Hertzfeld, Android was there.
Right, but did the people who made the old princess phones, the phones in the cradle, did they get pissed off when you made these things? Like you disrupted an industry of people.
No, we created. It was early. It was before open systems. Now we're in open systems, so it's before the internet. And so we actually created an alliance, just like Microsoft and all the hardware companies around them, or Apple and the hardware. We had to get partners, so we went and got telecoms partners. AT&T was a key partner. NTT in Japan. We also got the partners like Sony, Apple, Motorola, like amazing hardware companies. And so this idea of a standard operating system and an app store. Susan Kerr was doing emojis in 1991. There was a dancing lemon. Like the whole thing was going on.
So our topic today is workers in the innovation age. And I just want to know how you became you in a way. And I read that during high school, every student was forced into a science fair. That they had to do and there was a martial law that you all had to do science fairs. You did yourselves on green energy. But what were the things, as we think about the future and leaning forward, do you think better equip people to survive and even prevail in a way, given the fast rate of innovation and we look at human talent? What are the ingredients that help you get there?
Yeah.
What are we not doing today that we need to be doing?
So yeah, Congressman Joe Morrill from Rochester, New York, I'm from Buffalo, New York, was backstage and we were talking about this. I think there's things for kids and things for us grown-ups, and we have to do both of them. One is creative confidence, just creative confidence. Like having the confidence in the science and technology sector. The way we've been teaching science and math you would never teach someone to read and not teach them to write, right? And the way we teach writing is we like these letters and then these words and then these paragraphs and then we make an essay and and eventually maybe write a book or whatever. But it's like again, apprentice journey master's track. In the STEM area, what you said, us being forced to do mandatory science fair, instead of learning all this STEM content, which is interesting, but if you don't apply it with something you're interested in, it's not as interesting. And also, we have a lot of bias about what it's for. Oh, do this coding for gaming and robots, which are cool, but like, what about justice and poverty? And so you really have people, like I was thinking about our time in government, we found, NASA and Institute of Health, like energy, like we are so good at engine. We've been good at engineering and science since President Washington, Army Corps of Engineers, right? And the National Academies, Lincoln and FDR and Vanderbilt, and all the way down here, like State Department, who are geniuses. But they don't have science and tech people, but why not? Because you either do international relations and nonprofits or you do science and tech. Why is that an or? Why wouldn't data science be really important in the Department of Justice? And we found, why wouldn't it be important in state, in housing? And there was an idea when I was CTO that we were always expected, let's take HHS, Health and Human Services. If I walk in the precision medicine meeting as US CTO, we're like, okay, let's get started, right? Expected. If I walk down the hall to HS, to the foster care meeting or the WIC meeting, people would be like, my computer's working. Why are you guys here?
Right.
And it's not because they're not genius people. They're such geniuses, but they have kind of a Pony Express tech, and we can go to the Telegraph. Lincoln, and by the way, Pony Express disrupted in 18 months. So Lincoln had that disruption. So we can do this, and we Americans do this, but we do it in teams. And so what I guess I would say specifically about this idea, if more of our kids, could have a Raspberry Pi in second grade like we're doing in England, we would know about the board in our phone, and we would know like, oh, I want to listen to music, I can plug in here, and oh, there's the brain of it, and here's the power in this. Just like I did as a kid, right?
Right.
And Jimmy Carter was putting solar panels on the White House. And so back to purpose, right? I was the kid, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to do this green energy thing. And so I went down, we didn't have the internet, so I went on the bus downtown so I could have more books at the downtown library. And I just started
You were a little weird, though, because you were doing hydrogen storage like at 13.
I was, but that's because it was in the books, So practice makes permanent.
I don't want to make it
Practice
sound
makes
exotic,
permanent.
but I think we have just a ridiculously short amount of time. But I want
take
to.
AOC.
Yeah.
She is a science fair winner.
Huh.
Right? So
That's
she's
news.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So if
What
you
was
get
her project?
I don't know. We should find out. But
Okay.
if practice makes permanent, practice makes permanent. So what you do is all you do. So if you get to do the letter humanities thing, that's what you're going to do. And if you don't get to play with science and technology, not a lab where you're like, we already know the answer and it's kind of boring. That's interesting, better, active, but it's not, I don't know the answer to this. How could we solve this together? One of my favorite things is Los Angeles. So we have a huge problem that our kids are bored at school. In some places, half the high school kids leave because it's so bad. Now, we have a problem of STEM, and we have a problem that our cities don't have enough techies. So in Los Angeles, they've created the Data Science Federation, homage to Star Trek. And it's like, my nickname for it is, how about work on your hometown for your homework? And so those kids in community college and in school are doing homework projects for data science, not on robotics and games, yes, we can do that, but on air quality and poverty and homelessness and traffic in LA where they live, and they're learning data science is about my home.
So
And they're doing work, and that gives you confidence, it's fun, and you do it.
I have time for one last question, so I'm going to make it a biggie. My question to you is, you've worked so much in critiquing the story about tech, the people that were left out, that we focused on white males and Asian males, and there are people there. And I, when I tweeted out this morning that I was going to have the honor of participating today, I said, as we look at the future of work, the future of innovation, is it going to be a nightmare story, or is it going to be a good story where we're able, we were talking about revitalization of communities and how there are these seeds of creativity and innovation anywhere, and that there's a strategic leap possibility that solves the nightmare. And I'd like you to share, give us the Megan Smith track to understanding how to avoid the nightmare and to embrace the disruption in a way that brings as much talent off the sidelines into the equation as we can. So what does that look like?
Maybe there's 3 acts.
Right.
One of them is the future's here, it's just not evenly distributed. So the first act is noticing that. Chattanooga has the highest speed internet in the Western Hemisphere. And if I go to McDowell County, West Virginia, nobody's making a WeWork makerspace in the brick building there. But why not? We made libraries, we did the Carnegie thing, we know how to do that. So let's get the American hustle going, and let's start to not conjure, oh, what should we do about this? But like, I wonder who, scout and scale, I wonder who's already doing this. Find them and start sharing rapidly using the internet, right? Second one is signal to noise. We are in a very tough time right now, right? Congress, if you look at this amazing Business Insider animation, they used to vote together like crazy, even though it's always been partisan, but now they're really separated in these information silos. We have fake news. President Washington said, first State of the Union, knowledge in its first form is knowledge is the basis of great public happiness. It's in its shortest form. So we must have knowledge and not fake news to have a democracy. So there's lots of challenges, weapons of mass destruction. A certain set of people are like magical and they can make all this stuff and everybody else can. We apply it to certain topics and not. So this challenge around us, and the way to answer it is we're the ones we've been waiting for. It's only us. No one else is coming. So how do we take all the resources? Like when we're at war, we don't think we just like, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And we start hustling. We can do that, and what we did a 25-city tech jobs tour. It's Appalachia, Cheyenne, Memphis, you name it. We just found Americans who were already in this, I call it the Wakanda layer of our world, right? Who are acting and talking like I am, and they live in Memphis, or they live in Birmingham, or they live in Cleveland. Just meet your neighbors. Like, this is community organizing at its best, meets American innovation capability. And let's go, like George Washington Carver did this. He trained 2,000 farmers a month once he discovered how to, not peanuts, how to rotate crops, nitrogen, fix the soil. And when he figured what's going to be in the money, and then he trained everyone. Ag Extension, we got a university and in every state who has an office in every county. Let's leverage that network, use the internet, and find the doers and have them become visible to their neighbors.
Incredible. You're a CEO of Shift7. Tell them what Shift7 means.
Shift7 means and. We work in partnership only. We do things like that tech jobs tour in partnership. We just have worked with MIT. Native Americans live in some of the poorest counties in our country. There's people just like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, entrepreneurs there. Now we have fellows at MIT, Standing Rock, Pine Ridge, Navajo, who are incredible energy experts, agriculture innovators, community innovators, culture innovators, urban design, and they're doing their projects and we're making them visible so we can come up underneath them like the venture capitalists do. I call it venture catalyzing. They could be Claire Barton or they could be Henry Ford. We don't care who you are. Innovators need it.
If I get a ton of people to go to see the movie General Magic, some from the audience, will you come?
I'll come.
Who plays you in the movie?
It's me. It's a documentary.
Really
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think we all owe Megan a round of applause and thank you for your support of the smartphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you.